What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. In this video we are looking at the week 1 NFL final look picks. It was an amazing start to the season last night. Before we get into any of the video stuff, I appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Hopefully the videos helped you guys. If you watched the Thursday Night Showdown video, you got some great ideas. This is what I ended up posting on the site, and we went crazy. 182.13, almost takedown stuff to start the season. Gallup getting hurt definitely ruined that, but still very, very good night. 182.13 on DK, 150.39 on FanDuel. Had both Gronk and Cooper on both. They went for 2 touchdowns apiece. Both of the quarterbacks, I told you guys I wanted to focus on the passing game more and just fade the running game on both sides just because they have, didn't want to play into the Cowboys running backs, and then the Bucks have 3 running backs, so it's tough to kind of pick which one you want to go with. So it was a very fun game to watch. Some controversy at the end with that pass interference that wasn't called. But we learned a lot of good things from that game. Dak Prescott looks like he didn't miss a beat. Tom Brady still looking like a problem at 44 years old. And Antonio Brown might just be the #1 wide receiver in Tampa this year in terms of fantasy. So let's get into the final look picks. If you wanted to follow me on Twitter, it's at the DFS Process. If you want to join us for Sunday, keep it going. It's dfsprocess.net to join us. But we'll just go over the QB plays. We'll go over each of the positions, talk about some stacks at the end. But for quarterback plays this Sunday, I am looking at a couple that I really like here. I split it up into ranges here. The top end, you have Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray here. I just included Mahomes because he's going up against Cleveland. They have the highest total on the slate. Should be an absolute shootout from both sides of the ball. You know, the Chiefs are going to score, and the Browns are probably going to have to keep up with them. So I would expect this game to be a slugfest and be a shootout. Kyler Murray just gets a great matchup against Tennessee. There's only a couple of running quarterbacks that you can target each week in DFS. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts are the top of that list. So they just give you extra fantasy production, like 5 to 10, maybe more fantasy points. You can count on them from your legs. And Tennessee is just not very good defensively. They upgraded their offense. They got some defensive pieces, but defense is definitely their weakest compared to the other two. In the mid-range, you have Aaron Rodgers, only $6,800 on DraftKings. Just a top-end quarterback that's underpriced this week. Not the easiest matchup. Saints are good defensively, but Rodgers, I have no qualms with targeting him in tougher matchups just because he's so good. You know exactly what you're going to get. Just consistent 25-ish most weeks. So, gotta love Rodgers. But the favorite quarterback for the week for me is going to be Jalen Hurts against Atlanta. That game is my favorite one to stack up on Sunday. It's the first game on the list, but it doesn't really matter to me. Both sides of the football are underpriced. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Goddard, Quez Watkins on the Eagles side, Jalen Reagor, they're all so cheap. Same thing with Sanders. And then on the Atlanta side, you pair Matt Ryan with a bunch of their cheap guys with Ridley is expensive, but that's as to expected. But they got a cheap running back, Mike Davis. You got very cheap tight end compared to what his projected for. And then the value quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, just because it's easy to stack him with a couple of guys, and I think he's going to be able to do some damage this year. Hopefully he's fully healthy. Winston, just because he's pretty affordable at $5,200, and they're probably going to have to score some touchdowns to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. And then the last two, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, more of tournament plays. Mac Jones is a cash kind of viable play just because he's so cheap, but I think Wilson makes sense for tournaments. Over at running back, Christian McCaffrey is the top of the list. There's really no debating that. He's only $400 more than Dalvin Cook, so if I had to pick between the two, it's going to be McCaffrey every single time. Good matchup against the Jets here. Not only is he just a running back, he's going to be one of their better pass-catching options and could even lead them in receiving yards, and we know how good he is in the red zone. It's McCaffrey zone in the red zone. And then you have Alvin Kamara, just with so many lack of weapons on the Saints right now. They are dealing with an injury to Michael Thomas, who's going to miss many weeks. So they don't really have a #1 wide receiver right now. It's Marquez Callaway's kind of filling in. But Kamara should get a lot more targets due to the fact that they're very thin on the outside. The mid-range, Miles Sanders is about $65 on DraftKings. He's pretty affordable on FanDuel as well. I like to get to him. He had some good weeks with Jalen Hurts to close out the year. Can also catch passes. Some issues that he did have with fumbling, but I'm not too worried. I'm expecting close to 20 touches out of Sanders in week 1. Robinson, just because Houston is one of the worst teams in the league against the rush, they're going to be one of the worst teams in football this year. Robinson also a guy that can catch passes and looking at a 3-down workload. And then Joe Mixon has to be the favorite out of the 3. All 3 of them I really like. You can go with multiple of those guys, or even go with all 3 if you wanted to. But Mixon, another guy that's just way too cheap for a 3-down role. Good matchup against Minnesota, and I think the Bengals are going to be able to put up some points this year with their upgrades at wide receiver, drafting Jamar Chase and still having T. Higgins and having Burrow back. And then just some value plays are Antonio Gibson, sub 6K, and Mike Davis just because he's so cheap, and also a 3-down running back at like $5,300. Wide receiver plays, we have Devontae Adams at the top of the list. He's the most expensive wide receiver, but he's the best wide receiver in football. Even though it's not an easy matchup, it doesn't matter. Rodgers is going to look to Adams 10 plus times every single week, no matter who the opponent is. Calvin Ridley, no more Julio Jones on the outside. It's going to be Calvin Ridley's show. Going to be getting probably like 30 to 40% of the targets here from Matt Ryan. The matchup here, Eagles secondary is decent with the corners. Their safeties aren't that good, and they could be without Roddy McLeod on week 1. So Ridley, they're going to have to double team him, maybe triple team him, if they want to have any shot of slowing him down, because he's going to be able to beat one-on-one coverage 9 times out of 10. Then DeAndre Hopkins, just if you want to stack up the Cardinals a bit, pair him with Kyler Murray. Hopkins makes a ton of sense. The mid-range, I didn't highlight anybody because I think they're fine, but at the top end is what I want to go with. And then wide receivers, there's just so much value at wide receiver this week that guys like A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, they're all good plays, but I don't think any of them are core plays. Some of the value plays that they do get are DJ Moore. He's like $6,100. Jets defense is better against the run than they are against the pass, and we will see. Sam Darnold maybe want to take it to his old team. He has a good wide receiver core with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. And Moore is just pretty big body guy that you can look to in the red zone. Hopefully can build and get some more touchdowns that he did last year. Brandon Ayuk, Detroit's going to be very bad. Last year they couldn't stop anybody defensively. Nothing has really changed. They've gotten even worse this year, getting rid of Matthew Stafford. But Brandon Ayuk is about $5,700. He's affordable. He is healthy, which is great to see. He's no longer on the injury report, so I expect Ayuk to be able to do some damage here. Him and Deebo Samuel, both a solid 1-2 punch. But Ayuk, they also like to utilize some of these guys in the rushing game, give them a couple of rushing attempts. Corey Davis, if you wanted to go to anybody on the Jets, it would be Davis, just with some of the connections that he did have with Zach Wilson, and he's a wide receiver 1 at a good price tag. Jamar Chase, against Minnesota, if you wanted to pair him with Burrow, you can. There's some risk with him just because some of the drops that he had in preseason, but that could just lower his ownership, and I don't think he can. I don't think he has any problems catching a football. And then some more value plays. Devontae Smith against Atlanta. He's the number 1 wide receiver for Philly. Nobody really to compete with him in terms of getting a ton of targets besides Goddard. On the outside, you have second-year wide receiver Jalen Reagor, who is okay, but he didn't show much last year. Maybe he's a lot better this year, but Smith is just going to be the top dog in Philly, and he's just way too cheap right now, especially in this matchup with Atlanta. Nobody can slow them down. I could see him break the top off once, hopefully at least. Then you have just some more cheap guys, Pittman, Marvin Jones, Marquez Callaway, who is going to be Winston's number 1 option for a couple of weeks at least until Thomas is back, I think, at least until week 8. Tight end plays. You have George Kittle, Travis Kelce. They're a top end, but Kelce is 2K more than Kittle. So I might just take the 2K savings and go with Kittle instead. Good matchup against Detroit. Kittle is going to get peppered with targets. He's a red zone monster as well. The mid-range is strong. You have Kyle Pitts is just way too cheap against Philly. He should, for me, he's projected as a top 5 tight end this year in fantasy football, and he's not that in terms of DraftKings price. So I want to get to Kyle Pitts. You can go with Goddard if you wanted to get to the Eagles side. And then you have 2 other guys, Thomas and Tanyan, who are viable, but they're definitely behind the other 2 for me. And then just some more value plays are Hooper and Jordan Akins. Akins is going to have to be a big part of the receiving game in Houston just because they have nobody right now. Defensive plays, the 49ers, Detroit's going to be very bad on both sides of the football. The only bright spot on that offense is going to be DeAndre Swift and potentially Tyrell Williams if he's healthy. The Giants against Denver, also a lower scoring game. It might be the lowest on the slate. Giants, I like the 49ers more than the Giants defense. Mid-range, only see the Seahawks if Wentz dealing with some COVID issues, and if he's anything like he was last year, then Seahawks might be the highest scoring defense on the slate. And then some value picks are the Dolphins against rookie quarterback Mac Jones. And then the Bills, just very affordable, a defense that gets a lot of turnovers and can force some sacks. And Ben Roethlisberger has always struggled on the road notoriously, and he does throw picks. So All it takes is one to be returned to the house for your defense to really pay off. And last but not least, just some of the value stacks here. I didn't include the obvious stacks, the top-end stacks like Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, but these are some of the value stacks that make you able to pay up for McCaffrey, even Cook, get some studs in there. But Hurts, Sanders, Smith, Goddard as a four-man Philly stack, very affordable on all of those guys. Matt Ryan, Mike Davis, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, also love that four-man stack. That first game high, like I mentioned, cannot stress how much I will be stacking that one up. Carolina, Sam Darnold, McCaffrey, DJ Moore as a lower-owned tournament stack. Everybody's going to have McCaffrey, but I think if you throw in Darnold and Moore, you'll be a little bit different. And then the Cincinnati stack's also super cheap. Joe Burrow, Mixon, Chase, and Higgins. So that is it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Best of luck. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. And see you all next time.